Soccer is great fun. For kids, no other sport is quite as captivating. They never seem to get tired of chasing the ball. Anyone can play soccer. The game's fascination has been apparent right from the start. Still, some things have changed since the old days. Sandlot soccer is on the decline. Today, most kids have their first contact with the sport in an organized league. But the fascination is still there, and that's why play is the most important part of practice for young players. A good league gives them the chance to play the game freely without restrictions. Most young players are proud to wear the names and numbers of their favorite players. They admire them and strive to be like them. Surely, the experience of actually playing on a team with these idols must be all the more unforgettable. The Adidas Cup final has made it possible to do just that. The professional players have enormous influence as role models for developing players. Their approach to the game sets the standard for all training. Ultimately, the professional players of tomorrow can only reach that level through systematic training in their youth. The foundations for the future of soccer are being laid today. It's a long way from beginner to soccer star. It's a way that must be traveled in stages, and the goals, contents, and methods of each stage must be appropriate to each level of age and ability. The structure of the GSA Children's Program entails 3 levels of training. Basic training includes 6 through 10-year-olds, levels F and E. Intermediate training, the second level, includes ages 10 through 12, level D, and 12 through 14, level C. Advanced training, the top level, includes 14 through 18-year-olds.
Der deutsche Fußball genießt in der gesamten Sportwelt ein hohes Ansehen. Das liegt daran, dass die deutsche Fußballnationalmannschaft sehr erfolgreich Fußball spielt. Deutschland ist seit 1954 3-mal Weltmeister geworden. Sie sind mehrmals Europameister geworden. Das liegt daran, dass in der Bundesliga ein sehr attraktiver Fußball gespielt wird, zu dem sehr viele Zuschauer kommen. Und das liegt nicht zuletzt daran, dass in unseren Vereinen und Verbänden eine sehr gute, fundierte Jugendarbeit geleistet wird. Der Deutsche Fußballbund hat ein sehr umfassendes Sichtungssystem für Fußballtalente. Diese Fußballtalente werden im Leistungstraining gefördert und herausgebildet, sodass sie in späteren Jahren in der Lage sind, im Seniorenbereich attraktiven und erfolgreichen Fußball zu spielen. Viele unserer Kinder und Jugendlichen sehen in den Nationalspielern ihre Vorbilder. Sie kommen in die Fußballvereine, um das Fußballspielen zu erlernen und um diesen Vorbildern nachzueifern. Wir Trainer müssen unseren Kindern und Jugendlichen ein interessantes, ein altersgerechtes Training anbieten, an dem die Kinder und Jugendlichen Spaß und Freude haben, damit sie das Fußballspielen auch spielend erlernen. Und um das zu erreichen, müssen wir das Spielen, und da bietet sich insbesondere das Spiel 4 gegen 4 an, in den Mittelpunkt unseres Trainings stellen. Aus diesem Spiel 4 gegen 4 heraus ergeben sich alle weiteren Trainingsziele zum Erlernen der Fußballtechnik und einfacher taktischer Handlungsweisen. Dieses Video gibt uns Trainern eine Menge an Anregungen für ein interessantes, abwechslungsreiches und kindgemäßes und jugendgemäßes Training. Es bietet neben Spielformen eine Reihe von Trainingsformen an, die den Kindern und Jugendlichen Spaß und Freude bereiten und die ihrer persönlichen Entwicklung dienen.
Next, we'll introduce the most important guidelines for instruction of the youngest players. The first principle is learn soccer by playing. Most kids who have been introduced to soccer like it and want to play. That's why they join leagues. A soccer league gives them their first real taste of the game, which makes it all the more important that fun and excitement be part of that experience. Small soccer games with lots of variety and opportunities for scoring are the heart of children's training. The games shown here are just a small sample. The possibilities are endless. We will explain more of them as we go along. The first principle means precisely that sandlot soccer must find a new home in the soccer league. If coaches focus on that idea, they're guaranteed to be on the right track. The second principle is the ball should always be the focus of training. It seems so obvious that we almost shouldn't have to mention it. For a soccer player, the ball is a tool. The more contact young players have with this tool, the more opportunities they have to explore its possibilities, the handier they become with it. In practice, a ball should be provided for every player. Fundamental points and exercises should always be practiced with a ball. Without a ball, there's no motivation and no fun. The third principle is everyone can join in. Kids tend to have short attention spans. For them, there's nothing so aggravating as doing nothing. They have a great desire to move, and coaches should always structure practices around this desire. When you're choosing exercises and games, always consider, can everyone play, including weaker players? If not, some of the kids will quickly find themselves watching from the sidelines. A good organizational rule is the smaller the groups and the playing fields, the more likely it is that everyone will get a chance to play. In games with goals, teams should be no bigger than 4 aside. Another hint for maximum participation is that you can play on multiple playing fields at once. Another alternative that's interesting and easy to organize is station training. Here we see one possible configuration. We'll show you many more possibilities in video 2. The fourth principle, practice should be fun. Even the simplest games and exercises, if presented in an interesting way, are lots of fun and encourage maximum participation. Here, for example, we have crab soccer. Or how about controlling the ball like a goalie? It's fun for all and teaches dribbling skills at the same time. The most important tools for motivation at this age, though, are small competitions. Kids always like to compete and be better than one another. The best way to hold their interest is with competitions to see who can score the most goals. But don't forget, set up small practice groups and lots of goals. Lots of goal shots for everyone must be guaranteed. The impression the coach makes on his players is also very important at this age. His movements, gestures, demonstrations, and words should all communicate his own enthusiasm for the most wonderful game in the world. Therefore, the last principle is a coach must be able to motivate and inspire his players. In this regard, one point must be clearly understood. Children at this age learn by watching. This means that the best learning starts with a proper demonstration of soccer techniques. What should you keep in mind while demonstrating? You'll find lots of tips and encouragement as you watch this video, but the most important thing to remember is don't interrupt or take over too often. Always let the kids try things out for themselves first. Then you can give them help where they need it. Now we'll introduce some practice formats for 6 to 10-year-old boys and girls. They're divided into 4 major building blocks. The first building block is motion and coordination training with the ball. The solo exercises shown here all contribute to skillful and creative ball handling. Coordinated ball handling is an indispensable foundation for greater accomplishments in soccer. The players start out freely dribbling amongst each other in a practice area. They should try out everything they've learned with the ball so far. For example, different ways of changing direction. Such exercises in coordination training can constitute the warm-up period of a children's practice session. The task becomes more difficult when the practice area is made smaller. Which players are still able to control their own balls without bumping into each other? Who can change directions in close quarters? Now, the players change direction only when the coach gives a hand signal. This means they have to have enough confidence in their dribbling to take their eyes off the ball and look around. Here, we lay the first foundations for a greater awareness of the game. The next exercises combine dribbling with some other basic skills, such as stopping the ball with the knee. Many young players start out with poor coordination, moving stiffly, losing their balance, and so on. Therefore, soccer practice should give the youngest players an opportunity to develop their physical potential in the most interesting ways possible. The next exercise requires players to stop the ball with the knee as before, but also change direction at the same time. Who can do this best? And now something still more difficult. The players stop the ball with the knee, then pull it with the sole and inside of one foot behind the standing leg and away to the side. These more difficult exercises are exactly the ones that benefit most from a demonstration by the coach. Afterwards, give the players time again to try out the exercise. Here, the players stop the ball from behind. This requires them to match the movements of their bodies exactly to the movements of the ball. It's not so easy to keep your balance. You can see how many ways this exercise builds coordination. In this exercise, the players have to pull the ball back. Who can cover the distance in the shortest time? This exercise is one of the harder ones, so it's all right if the kids don't pick it up all at once. Now, the kids let the ball dance between the feet. The goal is to touch the ball as quickly and often as possible. The more advanced players can be assigned extra tasks. For example, move the dancing ball forward or backward. As they learn different foot tricks, kids gain the ability to make quick and surprising changes of direction. Here, the coach demonstrates. Dribbling straight ahead, he pulls the ball quickly back with the sole of his foot and then moves it sideways with the outside of the same foot. Once again, the kids get a chance to experiment with what they've seen. This time, the player pulls the ball behind a standing leg with the sole of the other foot and then moves it sideways with the inside of that foot. And once again, these ball exercises form the basis of creative, accomplished, and attractive soccer. One further possibility for changing direction. With the sole, the player pulls the ball quickly out of dribbling and then pushes it sideways with the inside of the same foot. Here's another perfect execution. Along with coordination training exercises, running games can also be a part of the warm-up phase of a practice session. The first variation is called capture. In this simple game, two catchers carry shirts in their hands for easy recognition. Whoever gets caught immediately trades places and becomes the new catcher, who's been caught the least during the time period. As you can see, this game teaches soccer players the most important elements of movement: sudden changes of direction, feinting, tackling, stopping abruptly in a way that's fun for everyone. In this old favorite, the players pair up holding hands. One pair is designated catchers for a certain period of time. Which pair can make the most captures? And now, the next pair of catchers gets started. Naturally, you can also organize many interesting games of tag that involve the ball as well. Here, all players dribble among each other in a designated area. Two catchers carrying shirts try to catch one of the dribblers. Whoever gets caught takes the shirt from the catcher, who was catcher the fewest number of times. Here's a game that's lots of fun, but can only be played on an outdoor field. The players are divided into pairs, and one player, as a goalie, tries to win the ball from the other players. As soon as the goalie is successful, the players switch roles. Now here's the same game, but with permanent goalies. Two designated players have a certain amount of time, about a minute, to take control of as many balls as possible. Which pair succeeds most often? You can see that fun and participation are both guaranteed. Juggling exercises are yet another way to increase ball coordination. Again, there are innumerable possibilities. Here, the players have to kick the ball overhead with the instep and immediately catch it with the other hand. For motivational purposes, it's desirable to combine juggling exercises with little competitions as often as possible. For example, who can accomplish the move the most often in the space of a minute? Here, the coach goes over the results of a juggling competition. Rating performance is very important to kids and should never be forgotten. Here, the players have to juggle the ball once with the right thigh and once with the left in rapid succession before catching it again. Players won't necessarily get it right on the first try, so the coach's job is to keep their spirits up and motivate them to intensive practice. The next exercise is still more difficult. The kids kick the ball overhead with the instep, let it bounce once on the ground, and kick it immediately up in the air again. Only a very few young players can juggle the ball so well at this age, but with regular practice, you'll soon notice improvements. Interesting exercises can also be developed by adding gymnastics to juggling. This time, instead of the coach, a player demonstrates the exercise. Kick with the instep, squat, and back up again in time to catch the ball. These juggling exercises work as competitions, too. The ball can be played with any part of the body. The demands of a particular juggling combination stimulate coordination and improve the ability to handle the ball. The combination we see here follows the sequence: instep, thigh, catch. The exercise can easily be expanded by adding another element to the sequence. For example, instep, thigh, head, catch. The second building block of youth soccer is playful instruction in the techniques of the game. This category includes some interesting exercises that teach individual soccer techniques in a way that's fun and appropriate for kids. Now, on to the first exercise. In pairs, players take turns trying to shoot between the cones using the inside of the foot. The competitive aspect is as important here as before. Which of the two is the first to score 5 goals? Of course, we're not trying for perfect technical execution at this point. Kids should learn the basic techniques. Here, for example, passing in its basic form to begin with. Eventually, they'll develop their own personal style of handling the ball. It's even more fun to have competition shooting at real goals. Here, both players act as goalie and shooter. Each side gets to take 2 shots on a turn without advancing past a certain line. Which pair can score 5 goals first? Here we see everyone playing goalie. In practice, make sure every player takes a turn playing goalie, since it often takes some time for genuine goalie skills to develop. Don't lock players too early into the goalkeeper position. Since it's unlikely you'll have enough real goals for shooting competitions with small groups, it's usually enough to set up some makeshift goals. A tip that can help with organization: one player plays goalie while the other waits behind the goal to retrieve the ball. After a few shots, they switch roles. This also helps to avoid long interruptions while someone chases after the ball. Gradually, players should learn to dribble the ball with more and more control, in other words, closer to the foot. Slalom dribbling exercises help to improve their control. A few suggestions. 1. For motivation, slalom exercises should be combined with a goal shot. 2. Divide the players into groups playing on several different slalom courses. There should be no more than 6 players on any course, otherwise they'll have to wait too long between turns. 3. Always set up a competition. For example, which group can be the first to score 5 goals? Slalom exercises make relatively high demands on the player's coordination with the ball since they have to change directions so often. Here, the players pass the ball toward the goal, run through the slalom course as fast as possible, then shoot on the goal. This exercise improves ball technique as well as running coordination. Dribbling competitions between two players are another fun possibility for slalom practice. The first variation, on a sign from the coach, the first player in each group starts out on the course. The first one to reach the end may shoot at the goal immediately. The other has to dribble around the last cone until he gets his turn to shoot. Which player can score the first goal? Here's another possibility for dribbling competition. Now, the player who lost the slalom race goes 1v1 against the goalkeeper. The slalom winner gets to take another shot on goal. Here it is again from a different perspective. Different ways of controlling the ball are basic techniques children at this age should learn. In this exercise, the ball is passed to the shooter from the side. He moves the ball quickly toward the goal and then shoots. He rejoins the passers and the next player gets a chance to shoot. With larger groups, 2 goals should be set up so no one has to wait too long. Again, all the technical details don't have to be perfect. Remember, the youngest players need to try out the movements first. There will be plenty of time for fine-tuning later. This player demonstrates it almost perfectly. Notice how he glances away from the ball for a last look in the direction of the goal right before he shoots. All the players are active and everyone gets lots of shots at the goal. As we've said before, it's not good to assign one player permanently to the goalkeeper position too soon. However, if a player has fun guarding the goal, you can begin preparing him for the role in practice and in games. But don't forget that he'll be called on to play as a field player occasionally too. Here, the shooter positions himself with his back to the goal and receives a pass from the backfield. He turns the ball toward the goal with the inside of the foot and shoots. These players can do it almost perfectly, but don't worry if it doesn't always go this smoothly. Now the shooter turns the ball toward the goal with the outside of the foot. This type of ball control is a bit more difficult, so be patient if it doesn't work right away and encourage the players to keep trying. Again, the practice groups should be as small as possible. Here, the players are practicing on 2 goals at once. The third building block of youth soccer is playing in small groups. For kids, small, unforced soccer games are the most important part of soccer training. Remember, children want to play and play and play. We begin with the smallest setup possible, 1v1. Here, players have to use all the skills they've learned, both attacking and defending. Defenders can be tricked if they're not careful. Because it can be so demanding, children shouldn't be allowed to play 1v1 for too long. In the group we see here, for example, a different pair takes the field after every shot on goal. The next larger combination is 2v2, shown here with 2 real goals with goalkeepers. This encourages combination play with another player to set up a shot on goal. The situation changes constantly, requiring quick decisions. As you can see, the players make plenty of goal attempts and experience lots of success. Practice doesn't have to be boring. When you have a lot of playing groups, it makes sense to set up goals so you'll have enough for everyone. Be sure to have plenty of extra balls ready by the goals to avoid interruptions. Another alternative is 2v2 with goals made of poles set about 2 yards wide. Here, it takes even more skill to get a shot on goal. In these intense conditions, the players experiment with the possibilities and soon learn to play as a team. Now, a third player is added to each team. This makes the game still more complex and enhances the possibilities of combination play. From these scenes, it's obvious that small, goal-oriented soccer games are exciting, enjoyable, and effective training for children. Through the simple exercise of playing with 2 goals, kids absorb the basics of soccer's most important techniques and tactics. Scoring a goal. What could be more exhilarating for any soccer player? In this game, 2 of the defenders stand in the goal as goalies, resulting in a 3v1 situation. With 3v1, the attackers can pass and shoot more easily. As soon as they either score a goal or lose the ball to their opponent, 2 of them become goalies and the defenders get a chance to attack. Here, we have 2 groups of 3v3 playing on a 30 by 40 yard field. The attackers get 1 point for dribbling past their opponents and across the defender's end line. This is a good example of winning on points. Which team has scored the most points after 5 minutes? These scenes show how small games can teach the basics of versatile dribbling, confident teamwork, and skillful defending. Last but not least, the fourth building block of youth soccer, the transition from practice games of 4v4 to matches of 7v7. Four v 4 is the ideal size for kids between 6 and 10 because it's the smallest configuration possible in which all the technical and tactical elements of the larger game are evident. 4v4 lends itself to the teaching of all the components of an attractive playing style like goal-oriented combinations, creative solo moves, and original attack strategies. Because of these benefits, we recommend devoting 1 out of 2 practice sessions per week entirely to games of 4v4 played freely and scored. You can set up as many as 2 4v4 fields in one half of a regular playing field. This also makes practice tournaments possible. Four v 4 is the ideal size for practice games, as you can see. But what about official matches? Obviously, it makes sense to run matches in a way that's appropriate for kids too. Matches can fulfill an important role in training at all ages, but only as long as they're appropriate to the abilities and interest of the kids playing. Ultimately, for 6 to 10-year-olds, it just doesn't make sense to hold matches of 11v11 on the entire field with full-size goals. Seven v 7 has many advantages over 11v11. One, the players get more touches on the ball. 2, they get more chances to shoot goals. Number 3, technique counts more than stamina. 4, every player must attack and defend, so they're constantly involved in the game. The full-size field really has no role to play at this age level. Even a half-size field is too big for 6 to 10-year-olds playing 7v7. The perimeter of the field is marked off with cones. The penalty, side, and center lines can also be used as boundaries. Then the small goals are set up. The field for this match of 7v7 between the penalty line and the sidelines is about 36 yards across and 55 yards long. The basic setup: the players arrange themselves in front of the goalie in 2 rows of 3 each, 1 row of defenders and 1 row of attackers. In time, the players will become familiar with these positions. Success in Soccer, the teaching magazine for winning soccer, new in the U.S. In Success in Soccer, soccer experts show how to teach techniques and tactics in the right way. Success in Soccer shows what you can learn from professional coaches. Success in Soccer shows how to improve your team's game. Success in Soccer gives practical tips on specific subjects. Success in Soccer has lots of helpful diagrams and photos. Success in Soccer comes out in 6 issues per year, each issue containing 40 pages full of interesting information for coaches who want success in soccer. Success in Soccer is available from Manny Clar, Post Office Box 92046, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87199. Phone number 888-828-GAME. That's 4263. In this video, we'll pick up where we left off in video 3 and introduce more exercises for youth players aged 10 through 14. As before, we divide this intermediate level age group into 4 major building blocks to help you organize complete practice sessions. Let's start with the first building block, ball coordination training. Systematic coverage of techniques, moves, and fakes should be a regular part of practice for kids at this age level. So let's look at some more exercises with the ball. First, players juggle the ball quickly back and forth with the insides of their feet. players should work toward using lots of quick touches. These solo exercises are excellent for training coordinated ball handling, and ball coordination is the foundation of more complicated exercises and advanced soccer performance in general. The exercise gets harder when players have to move backwards at the same time. The next variation is more challenging. Players continue to use the insides of their feet, but now they must also periodically roll over the ball with the sole. After a while, switch feet. And here's an even more challenging variation. Juggle the ball back and forth with the insides of the feet and periodically roll the sole over the ball twice in a row. This exercise is fairly difficult and players probably won't get it right away. Be patient and give them plenty of time to practice. The next exercise teaches a shot fake that can be useful in a number of different match situations. First, fake the shot. Then, after pulling back, use the inside of the foot to roll the ball behind the standing leg and change directions. Be sure to praise players when they perform the exercises correctly. When they need help, correct them individually, and then give them plenty of time to perfect what you've demonstrated. Here's a variation on that shot fake. After pulling back, use the outside of the foot to take the ball in a new direction. Once again, youth players learn best by watching and imitating. For these technique exercises, good demonstrations are invaluable. Here, it's easy to see that these ball exercises build an essential foundation for creative, attractive, and technically proficient soccer. Often, when a player is attacked by 2 or 3 opponents, the only way he can get free is by quickly changing directions. To this end, the coach demonstrates another variation. Using the inside of the foot, players try to push the ball in front of the other foot, then dribble away with the outside of that foot. Here, the coach must step in. The player is not producing the desired result. a sudden and dynamic change of direction. Help players with precise explanations and, above all, demonstrations. The players must push the ball to the side even more forcefully. In this version, the players change direction by dragging the ball with the sole in front of the body, then pushing it in the opposite direction with the outside of the foot. The coach demonstrates the move one more time. The next exercise teaches an even better way to lose an opponent by adding a fake to the change of direction. The player starts out with easy dribbling, then steps over the ball from outside to inside, sets the foot down for just a moment, and then uses the outside of that foot to start pushing the ball sideways. The demonstration is the coach's opportunity to break the move down into its essential components. First, a clear shift of balance as the foot comes down in order to fake the change of direction. And second, a decisive move in the other direction. These players are executing the move almost perfectly, although the move in the new direction must be quicker. Already, we have quite an array of exercises for ball techniques, moves, and fakes. With a little creativity, you can come up with many other variations. The second building block is individual training in soccer basics. In this category, players learn to use basic techniques effectively in match situations. The most important basic technique is dribbling. Players must be able to control the ball at all times, keeping it close to the feet while at the same time looking up. In video 3, we introduced the cone goal par course. Here are some more variations. At each goal, players must dribble completely around each cone, once with the inside of the foot and once with the outside, before moving on to a new goal. Remind the players to keep the ball close to the foot. In this exercise, players approach the goal from the side and dribble a figure 8 around the cones. Dribbling should be quick, light, and controlled. The coach demonstrates the next exercise. Players kick the ball through an open goal and run around the outside after it, then dribble to another goal. Here, it's important for players to look up from the ball, scan the area beyond the goal, and sprint to catch up with the ball. The next exercise also focuses on changes in tempo. Players dribble at an easy pace from goal to goal and put on a quick burst of speed as they dribble through each one. This exercise requires changes of pace over longer distances because players must dribble through 3 goals at an easy pace and then 3 goals fast. Small competitions are a great way of motivating players for these park course exercises. For example, which player can be the first to dribble through 10 goals without dribbling through any goal twice in a row? Remember, if players want to win, they have to control the ball by keeping it close to the foot. When we add defending players to the park course, the exercises become harder, but also more like a real match. Here, 2 spoilers who have no balls themselves try to keep the other players from dribbling through the goals by stealing their balls or blocking the goals. This presents the attackers with more of a challenge. They must be aware of their surroundings and use their bodies to shield the ball from their opponents. Another important part of training soccer basics is improving combination play, and the most important technique here is accurate passing. In the first exercise, 3 players start out dribbling, then pass to each other. This teaches them to look up from the ball, to pick the right moment for the pass, and to pass accurately every time. This type of exercise is great for warming up before the main practice session. Now, every time a player receives a pass, he must change directions. This gives players a chance to try and use different ball control methods. In this exercise, players must pass the ball away again on the second touch. In other words, they have 1 touch to receive and control the ball and 1 to send an accurate pass to a teammate. Important. Don't stop to control the ball. Keep moving. This makes it easier to protect the ball from an opponent. While it's easy and quick to pass with the outside of the foot, it's much safer and more accurate to use the inside. The next exercise adds changes in tempo. Now, players must dribble at top speed to one of the cone markers. Then they dribble away at a slower pace and pass to the next player. This exercise adds another technique, fakes. The player with the ball must use fakes to outplay two opponents playing at half speed. Players should try to use as many as possible of the feints they've learned so far. Another exercise for the basic group of three is free combination play with passes in the air. Don't let players stand still. Players should learn to pass and receive while moving. To conclude this group of exercises, players should play freely in the same groups of three at top speed for no more than 20 seconds at a time. Otherwise, the physical intensity becomes too much. Here, the coach and a player demonstrate an exercise with the cone goal parcourse. The player with the ball passes through a goal to his partner, who receives the ball in motion, dribbles through another open goal, and passes back to the first player. Divide the players into pairs with one ball each. In this variation, the passer must try to tackle the ball away from the receiver before the receiver can dribble through another goal. This makes the exercise considerably more challenging since players must receive and control passes at top speed in spite of opposition pressure. Players trade roles after each round. Who can score the most goals? Here's a great exercise for active breaks between more physically demanding exercises. Pairs of players pass back and forth to each other through goals, but the receiver must dribble around one of the cones before passing back. This trains techniques that are important for combination play, accurate passing, and secure ball control. As we know, small competitions like who can make the most passes in 15 seconds are a great way to keep the pace and motivation high. The next exercises focus on ball control techniques. Here, the coach and a player demonstrate the most basic technique, controlling the ball with the inside of the foot. The player with the ball passes to his partner, who receives the pass in motion, dribbles through a goal, and then passes back. Players must receive all passes with the inside of the foot. Here, the sequence is the same, except that passes must be received with the outside of the foot. The sequence remains the same for this next exercise too, but now players should be creative and use their whole repertoire of ball control techniques. Players should be able to control not only passes on the ground, but low and high passes in the air as well. Therefore, the next exercises focus on techniques for controlling passes in the air. One option is to use the thigh. Once again, the sequence is the same. One player throws the ball to his partner, who tries to use his thigh to control the ball in a good position to immediately dribble through an open goal. Now, let's look at controlling the ball with the chest. Here, we see the correct sequence of moves. The player not only uses his chest, he jumps to meet the ball. Another way to control passes in the air is to use the inside of the foot. The standing leg is slightly bent, and the toes of the controlling foot are pointed. The controlling leg forms a roof over the ball so that it can't bounce up and away. The first touch should send the ball in the desired direction. The next basic concept is taking and blocking shots. These exercises train field players and goalkeepers at the same time. The first player in Group 1 drop kicks the ball with the instep to goalkeeper 1, who catches the ball and rolls it into player 1's running path. Player 1 dribbles a short distance and then shoots at goal 2. Field players should practice accurate passing and shooting with the instep. Goalkeepers work on catching balls in the air. They can practice holding the ball at the same time. A small change produces an interesting variation. Before shooting, player 1 must play a wall pass with another player on the sideline. This adds another important technical, tactical element for the field players. For the next exercise, players divide into pairs. One player from the first pair throws a high ball to goalkeeper 1, who punches it back over their heads toward goal 2. Immediately, both players turn around and race for possession of the ball. Finally, they play 1v1 until the attacker takes a shot on goal. This exercise teaches the goalkeepers to punch balls away, while the field players get to practice 1v1 skills, which is very important at this age. As you can clearly see, these exercises guarantee focused, intensive goalkeeper training and provide field players with match character challenges at the same time. The next exercise is somewhat more challenging. A pair of players, attacker and defender, stand off to one side by two cones. In the second pair, the player closer to the goal kicks a short pass on the ground to goalkeeper 1, who controls the ball and then throws it to the attacker. The attacker takes the pass toward goal 2 and shoots. The defender tries to prevent the shot. After the shot, both players return to their original positions and the next round begins. For the field players, this exercise focuses on skillful 1v1 attack and defense. You can also start the round with a different twist. Here, for example, a player heads the ball in front of the goal after the goalkeeper throws it in. Otherwise, the exercise is exactly the same. This gives field players another technique to work on, heading. It's not enough to occasionally practice heading. Heading is a basic technique and should be a regular part of practice. Heading competitions with goals are great for both motivation and learning. Here's just one variation. A player throws the ball up for himself and heads from a standing position at the goal where his partner is playing goalkeeper. Remember, at this age level, heading practice absolutely must be fun. After a given period of time, the players switch roles. Who can score more goals? Here, the basic setup is the same, but now the goalkeeper throws a ball to his partner for the header. The shooter still heads the ball from a standing position. Pay careful attention to the movement of the body. A good header requires the player to pull the entire torso back, then quickly snap forward. For the next exercise, players have to execute a jumping header. It's best to jump with just one leg. The swinging leg swings forward and upward, bent at the hip and the knee. Thrust forward with the head and neck to strike the ball. The coach will have to spend a lot of time on these techniques because many youth players have problems with heading. Finally, the most advanced heading technique, the diving header. The setup for this exercise remains the same. The goalkeeper throws the ball in, and the shooter executes a diving header. Take a running start, keep your eye on the ball, and hit it with the forehead. Stretch the arms forward, then bend to break your fall when you land. Here's a favorite heading game that's set up a little differently. 4 players play 2v2 on 2 pole goals. 2 cones are set up between the 2 goals and slightly off to one side. The player with the ball stands here and throws to his partner, who heads at the opposition's goal from his own goal line. Both of the other players play goalkeeper. The players should be constantly switching roles. Only shots below the crossbar count. Which pair can score the most goals in a certain period of time, for example, 3 minutes. These are not boring exercises like throwing in and heading back. Fun and motivation are guaranteed, and that makes players learn faster. Faking your opponent is another important ingredient of attractive soccer, and systematic training of various fakes should be another important part of your practice sessions. We'll use stepping over to illustrate how to teach the individual steps of a new move. Since young players learn best by watching, a good demonstration must always be the first step. Afterwards, give the players plenty of time to try out the new move and get used to it. It's easiest to start out with the ball at rest on the ground. The player doesn't have to coordinate his actions with a rolling ball, so he can concentrate on the most important points of the move. The most important part of stepping over is to move the swinging leg over the ball quickly. The movement should gradually get faster and smoother. The next step is for the player to try stepping over while dribbling. This is harder because now the players have to time their moves to correspond to the rolling ball. It takes quite a bit of coordination. Once again, the coach gives specific corrections. For example, shift your weight after you step over the ball, or always combine the fake with acceleration so you break free of your opponent. At this point, you should stop again and give players time to practice the move until they have it down pat. This player can do it almost perfectly. The moves are right, and a change of speed is great. The next important step in teaching a fake is to add an opponent. After all, the point of these moves is ultimately to beat the opposition. Here again, the coach first demonstrates with a half-speed opponent. The defender holds back a bit so that the attacker can adjust to the new situation and learn the move without too much interference. After the demonstration, the players practice in pairs. Don't forget to praise good moves and correct mistakes. In the next step, we get ready to use this move in a real game situation. The defender still plays at less than full speed, but otherwise plays with competitive match character. These players are still having some problems with the new move. It doesn't really look like they're trying to break through on the fake side because they're still not shifting their weight convincingly. This player merely indicates the step over the ball. Here, the coach has to interrupt and take him back a step. Meanwhile, these players give a perfect demonstration of stepping over. They step quickly outward over the ball, clearly shift their weight onto that leg, and then make a dynamic move in the other direction. With the last step, every move of the defender has match character. He can and should give it his all. While attackers should think about the technical points they've learned, they also have to adapt the fake to the defender's actions. In this exercise, if the attacker succeeds, he gets to take a shot on goal. The next basic concept is playing at high speed. A soccer player has to be able to understand situations and react instantly in spite of pressure. Pairs of players take turns playing 1v1 in front of a goal with goalkeeper. The player with the ball kicks a short pass between his opponent's legs. This is the signal for both players to start racing after the ball and play 1v1 until one of them shoots. Either player may shoot. Every move should be at top speed, and players are also required to beat stiff opposition pressure in order to score. In this exercise, the front player stands with his legs apart facing the goal. The other player kicks a short pass between his legs, and both of them immediately start after the ball. They play 1v1 until one of them scores. As you can see, when it comes to soccer, speed is not so simple. It's not enough just to be able to run in a straight line. Players have to be able to recognize situations instantly and choose the right tactical tools to solve them fast. Exercises intended to improve speed have to address these challenges. In this exercise, two players kick short passes back and forth. Suddenly, the front player heads toward the goal with the ball, and his partner has to react instantly in order to block the shot. The attacker may have a little bit of a head start, but he still has to play at top speed against opposition pressure. And that's soccer. Match character exercises like these are the best way to train speed for soccer. Now let's move on to the third building block for 10 to 14-year-olds, technical tactical exercises for small groups. By varying the focus of these exercises, we can focus on individual technical tactical elements. A 4v4 game with extra players on the sidelines is great for improving crossing. 2 teams of 4 play in a marked field on 2 goals with goalkeepers. Each team has 2 crossers on the sidelines. The attackers try to pass to one of their crossers and then score off of the cross. Goals scored on a cross count double. The coach can interrupt the exercise to help his players with demonstrations and corrections. He demands and explains specific tactics according to actual game situations. That's a much easier and more effective way to learn than long theoretical explanations on the blackboard. The 2 most important pieces of advice for this exercise are, number 1, build the attack on the wings whenever possible. Number 2, look up from the ball just before shooting, but don't forget to look back down. Exercises should always be adapted to the skill level of the team and individual players. What does that mean for this exercise? Suppose you want to practice scoring off of crosses from the outside, but players are having problems crossing accurately. In that case, here's a sensible variation. The outside players can drop kick the ball in front of the goal. Goals are only allowed on these outside drop kicks. Here's the next exercise. 2 teams of 4 play in a field with 2 goals. 2 of the defenders play goalkeeper, creating a 4v2 situation. The 4 attackers can score on either goal, and if they score, they keep the ball and attack again. If they lose the ball or miss a shot, the defenders get the ball and start a new 4v2 attack. However, they must cross the center line before they can attack on a goal, and the new defenders must fill the 2 goalkeeper positions before they can resume play. This exercise requires good field vision and especially the ability to take advantage of scoring opportunities using quick changes of direction. This exercise is designed to improve combination play. 2 teams of 4 play in a field, and 2 neutral players stand behind one of the end lines. The attackers try to include these neutral players in combination plays as often as possible. If they lose the ball, the 2 teams immediately switch roles. Every time one neutral player passes to the other, the attackers score 1 point.
Pack nochmal die Blauen, pack nochmal. Jawohl, jetzt Abstand und da zum Anspieler. 5-1, klasse und andere Richtung. Hoffentlich haben die Kameras das drin. 5-2.
Here again, specific advice is most helpful. By slowing play down a little, players can improve their field vision and make their plays more safely and accurately. And attackers can make it harder for their opponents to win the ball if their plays cover the entire field, but the division of the space has to work perfectly. This is a great example. The defenders hardly have any opportunities to win the ball.
Jawohl, jetzt Abstand und da zum Anspieler. 5-1, klasse und andere Richtung. Hoffentlich haben die Kameras das drin. 5-2.
Let's review the 2 most important things to remember about combination play. Number 1, pass the ball so that the receiver can control it easily. And number 2, slowing play down improves field vision. The next exercise is aimed at improving defensive play. 2 goals with goalkeepers are set up on the end line about 15 yards apart. A 35-yard long counter line is marked out about 30 yards in front of the goals. 2 teams play 4v4 in this space. Team A attacks on the 2 goals, while Team B can score by dribbling across the counter line if it wins the ball. You can use this exercise to teach the fundamentals of ball-oriented zone defense. While Team A has plenty of opportunities to score, Team B's best hope is to follow the ball as a unit and keep the attackers in the tightest space possible. From there, it's a small step to the basic principles of ball-oriented zone defense. One defender engages the player with the ball, while his teammates move in too, so that the player with the ball is surrounded and can be attacked by 2 or 3 defenders at the same time. Meanwhile, other defenders cover any attackers between their goal and the ball. Not only does the player with the ball have no room to move, he has no good passing opportunities either. This way, the defenders effectively prevent any shots on goal, and they improve their chances of winning the ball considerably. This scene clearly shows how a compact and coordinated defense can control the area of play. Here's a defender engaging the player with the ball. He calmly attacks and slows down the opposition's advance. This defender is covering his teammate's back and blocking a passing opportunity at the same time. And this defender is preventing a breakthrough to the goal while he waits for a chance to win the ball on a square pass. The 4th defender is far away from the ball too, covering the rear. To summarize the most important principles, number 1, move compactly to follow the ball. Number 2, cover each other's backs. If the attackers play a square pass, every defender must immediately react to the situation and move instantly to new positions that provide compact coverage. All players move to follow the ball. If one player's attacker moves, his teammate takes over covering him, and he finds a new attacker to cover.
Auseinander, die Grüne ist zu eng hier. Wo wieder hier, biet dich wieder an hier, komm. Ja, ruhig den Abschluss wagen. Oh.
One thing is clear. This method is much more demanding than a simple man-marking defense. The individual defender doesn't have a single assigned defender to concentrate on. Instead, he must be much more versatile. He must understand the game, be alert, and move quickly to react to changing situations. And that's why players need a systematic introduction to this modern defensive system. While the main point here is for defenders to work out the ball-oriented zone defense step by step, it's also an opportunity for attackers to practice strategies against the system.
Sauber, der Pass, ganz große Klasse. Ja.
The most effective antidote is through passes behind the defense. Defenders must prevent these. This time the defenders fail because they didn't cover the player with the ball closely enough and gave him a safe passing opportunity. Also, the second defender pulled back too far because he was expecting a square pass. All it takes is a single pass behind the defense to set up a goal.
Sauber, der Pass, ganz große Klasse. Ja.
Here's one last variation on this exercise. Whenever a player dribbles across the counter line, both teams instantly switch roles and directions. Obviously, this makes things even harder. Now, players must also switch quickly back and forth between attack and defense. Since there is no idle time whatsoever, playing time must be limited to 4 minutes, followed by an active rest period.
Komm, der Konter, komm. Drüber, drüber. So, und wechseln, und Richtung wechseln, komm. Und dann voran. Die Tiefe staffeln, die Tiefe staffeln. Grün kommt zum Abschluss, Grün kommt zum Abschluss. Sauber, okay.
And now for the last building block, moving from the 4v4 practice game to the 11v11 match formation. When it comes to training youth players, match play is just as important as practice. Official matches must be organized in a way that's appropriate for kids. As we've said before, youth coaches can use a wide array of variations on the basic game of 4v4 to focus on different soccer concepts. That covers practice. But how should we organize matches so that youth players get the most out of them as well? The playing system developed by the German Soccer Federation for 10 to 14-year-olds is a helpful guide for coaches here. In this system, youth players are not allowed to play 11v11 until they reach the age of 10. But team and field size are not the only elements that must be adapted to players' abilities. Playing philosophies, basic formations, and positional roles must all be appropriate for children. In this system, every team must have 4 attackers. That's because an attack-oriented playing philosophy is mandatory for youth soccer. In the center of the attack formation, we have a center forward and an offensive midfielder. At this age level, we can also add 2 real outside forwards. This is a good way to train wing players with good dribbling skills, a player type that will play an important role in the future in breaking open compact defenses by switching fields and attacking on the wings. There are no rules for filling the midfield and defense positions. Here, the youth coach may act freely according to his own game philosophy and the player types available to him. However, we do have some suggestions. There are lots of possible variations on the position of the sweeper. Only in certain situations should the sweeper play behind the other defenders to protect the back. Most of the time, he should play at the same level as the other defenders so that attackers have as little room as possible to penetrate. Defenders should try to put the pressure on as far away from their own goal as possible. A better formation has 2 inside defenders who can give each other mutual support. Within their zone, they always move to the spot where the danger of attack is greatest. The basic formation of 2 inside and 2 outside defenders is known as the back 4. These 4 move as a unit to follow the ball. Another alternative is for the sweeper to pull forward into the midfield, leaving behind just 1 inside defender. This ensures better midfield coverage. However, to maintain the necessary compactness in this variation, the 2 outside defenders must both move inward somewhat, while the sweeper takes on the position of a central defensive midfielder. Teams using this variation must also reconcile themselves to a man-marking defense. Always make sure that your playing systems are not too hard or too easy for your players. Try to find a method that fits your team. Let's review. For 10 to 12-year-olds, the main focus of practice should be small group games with specific technical, tactical concepts such as dribbling, heading, or shooting. For 12 to 14-year-olds, we can add more challenging concepts such as division of space, getting clear according to the situation, wall passing, and overlapping. A primary goal, though, should always be the athletic and personal development of each player according to individual abilities. We'll conclude by showing you how to build practice sessions using the exercises we've introduced. In the warm-up period, players get ready for practice with ball coordination exercises, gymnastics, and some fun games like tag. The main session alternates between exercises and games, all focusing on a particular concept. And the best way to end a practice session is with a game on 2 goals with goalkeepers. Here's an example. Warm-up should consist of a program of technique exercises with the ball to improve ball coordination and creative ball handling. You're already familiar with lots of ball coordination exercises from the first building block. While you should periodically vary this technique program, make sure you give players enough time to perfect the individual exercises and encourage the players to spend as much time as possible playing with the ball outside practice as well. If you have 12-year-olds, you should also start including focused flexibility and strengthening exercises in the warm-up period because kids lose quite a bit of flexibility during puberty, and as a consequence, their performance suffers and they get hurt much more easily. A systematic stretching program focusing on soccer-specific muscle groups is absolutely essential. We'll illustrate a few standard flexibility exercises here, and you can find more detailed information in coaching books and magazines like Success in Soccer. Here are a few strengthening exercises. Be sure to supplement your flexibility training program with strengthening exercises because most kids today are not as strong as they need to be for soccer, and poor posture is practically the rule. For these reasons alone, a regular, systematic, and age-appropriate strengthening program is a must. On the other hand, soccer training tends to overdevelop certain muscle groups such as the running and jumping muscles in the legs, while other areas, such as the stomach and buttocks, are neglected. It's up to you to avoid this. However, exercises with weights or weight machines are unnecessary, even for older youth players. A diverse program of exercises using the body's own weight, adding the ball, sometimes for variety, is ideal. Here again, you'll find plenty of more detailed information in the coaching literature. Motivational games such as tag are also very appropriate for warm-up. The main objective here is fun, but these games can also teach the basic elements of soccer in a playful way. The objective of the main session is to alternate between games and exercises in order to focus on a single technical, tactical concept and to tie these activities together in a way that's most conducive to learning. In this example, the training concept is improving combination play. The coach starts out with an appropriate game, in this case 4v4 with extra players. The tasks of a game must be matched to a player's skill level. They should never be too hard or too easy. This game includes demonstrations and corrections as necessary.
Pack nochmal die Blauen, pack nochmal. Jawohl, jetzt Abstand, Unterhand zum Anspieler. 5-1, klasse, und andere Richtung. Hoffentlich haben die Kameras das drin. 5-2.
After an appropriate playing time, in the case of 4v4, no more than 5 minutes, players move on to an interesting exercise based on the same concept. Here, passing through cones improves an important technique for combination play, accurate passing. And here's a tip for organizing the main session. You'll make it easier for the players and for yourself if the organizational details of exercises and games are more or less the same. For example, group size and makeup or field size. By avoiding dead time, you effectively make your practice session longer. Next, we move on to the second game. As always, it's easy to adjust the difficulty of a game by varying it slightly. But of course, it all depends on how well the players are learning. In any case, there is one basic rule. To achieve lasting effects, you have to spread a given training concept over 3 or 4 practice sessions. Youth players need time to internalize and master the elements of the game. We conclude the main session with more exercises. Again, the organization should be changed as little as possible, vary only the tasks. Not only does this make things run more smoothly, players learn better. Always remember, a focused demonstration by the coach saves valuable practice time.
Also, durchspielen und mal gucken, ob ich sie noch. Oh. Punkt für dich. Alles klar.
Another positive side effect of alternating between games and exercises is that players also alternate between high and low intensity, respectively. This keeps them from straining themselves. A free game of soccer on 2 goals is the best way to end a practice session. Rules should be limited to the bare essentials so that the kids can play freely. 4v4 is the best setup for this last game, and in any case, teams should never have more than 7 players each. This means the coach may have to organize parallel games running simultaneously on different fields. Finally, we'd like to close with some guidelines and tips on planning and organizing an effective, age-appropriate, and attractive training program for 10 to 14-year-olds. The first guideline, start every practice session with an opening discussion. The coach calls the players together, greets them, and quickly informs them about the objectives and contents of that day's session. That way, players are consciously involved in the training process and they learn faster. The second guideline has to do with the significance of the demonstration. Too many explanations only serve to confuse young players. If they can see something for themselves, they understand and learn it faster and more easily. Therefore, you should demonstrate as much as possible and explain things as clearly as possible. You'll save time, and your demonstration will be worth more than 1,000 words. Always start practice with motivational exercises. That's the third guideline. 10 to 14-year-olds like to play fast and furious, especially if they've been sitting all day in school or doing homework. That's another reason to avoid long-winded explanations and overcomplicated exercises at the beginning of practice. Instead, give kids the chance to let off some steam with games that are interesting and easy to understand. Another important guideline is organize your session. Every practice session should be carefully planned. Of course, the contents must be well thought out, but a clear structure also goes a long way toward making practice more efficient. Dividing the group into smaller groups, practicing simultaneously, is just one good example. The last guideline has to do with the end of the session, naturally. End every session with a short discussion. Let the players tell you what they thought of practice. Success in Soccer, the teaching magazine for winning soccer, new in the U.S. In Success in Soccer, soccer